Donald Trump says he's slapping dozens of countries around the world with so-called reciprocal tariffs. And while he's chosen to spare his NAFTA partners, at least today, he's still hitting Canada with auto tariffs at midnight. When the original NAFTA was negotiated and signed in 1992, U.S. Trade Representative Carla Hills was the chief American negotiator that ushered in that new era of free trade. So, what does Ambassador Hills think of Trump's tariffs now? Well, as luck would have it, Ambassador Hills joins me now. Ambassador, it's good to meet you. Thank you so much for being here and for waiting so long so we could hear what the Prime Minister had to say. I just wonder, what's your reaction to what we've heard now from the leaders of Canada and the United States throughout the afternoon?
I'm very concerned about where we stand on trade. You know, Canada is our largest trading partner. The reciprocal trade tariffs that our president announced today are just tremendously harmful. They not only equal the tariffs that others have, but he has ratcheted them up to cover what he deems to be unfair policies. And so it's really going to hit our economy as well as our friends and allies that have been affected. One good thing is that Canada is not affected by these reciprocal tariffs. But the 25% tariffs that have been imposed apparently will stand. I know that there are people in our Congress who are going to try to move strongly against it, but right now we're in a period of enormous uncertainty. You're going to feel it in the markets. This uncertainty and incredulous trade action will have a very adverse effect here in the United States as well as with our friends and allies.
Ambassador, when you look at it, and in just the disruption of the relationship between Canada and the United States, which I don't think I'm exaggerating when I call it one of the most successful, if not the most successful, economic relationship on earth, with the daily trade going back and forth across the borders. If you look at the uncertainty that targeting all of these other big global economic players with these tariffs today, it is, according to some of the analysis we've had on the show today, it is engineering the environment for a global recession, and it's all by choice. Do you see it as that severe a risk to the world economy right now?
Yes, I'm very, very worried about this. And it's not only going to affect the Canadians, it's going to affect the people in the United States. You know, I can remember George Shultz, who was a wonderful Secretary of State, saying, you know, we ought to try to make North America stronger, and then we will maintain our leadership. And he really worked at trying to work together, and we would have regular meetings with Canadians in Mexico, and it made a difference. But right now we've just done a reverse, an absolute U-turn, and have turned on our two great trading partners imposing tariffs. I mean, to impose a 25% tariff on Canada on the excuse of fentanyl, to me, is just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of data that would suggest this is just fundamentally a pretext for trade action, right? Because it needs to be an emergency for the president to do it without congressional support, and just the volumes of fentanyl flowing from our country to the United States at proven levels are very low, not to minimize the impact of fentanyl, but as a trade issue, it doesn't make tremendous sense. But, you know, Ambassador, when you look at what this is going to mean for your economy, what it's going to mean for our economy, we're talking, you know, tens of thousands of job losses if this persists. We talk about economic contraction. We talk about disruption of supply chains that took decades to build, to great prosperity for people affected by this. What is the pain point that gets the president to reconsider? Because he's immune from political pressure in that he's not allowed to seek re-election. What is it you think changes the calculation of this administration to live up to the spirit of the trade deal you worked on so long ago?
Well, there will be a reaction here. I've already had discussions with people in Congress where they're very upset. And so, yes, there is a recognition in the United States that this is a crazy policy and and we can't let it go forward. You know, our Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, gives the authority to the Congress in the United States for levying tariffs, taxes, and we're just ignoring that. That is, this president is. We've never had a president take the positions that this president has. And it's a concerning thing for many, many Americans, and obviously for our friends and allies, none more so than Canada.
I wonder, just as a final point, Ambassador, NAFTA became CUSMA. Who knows what happens next? Do you think this trade agreement survives this presidency, or do you think the days of continental free trade are simply coming to an end because of this protectionist impulse that exists in the White House right now?
Well, as a strong proponent of free and open trade, I will say to you that our credibility has been fractured. And would you make an agreement with me, even to sell my house, if you knew that I had reneged on it several times with others? I don't think so. And so without credibility, you don't have leadership. And I do worry that that fundamental issue is something that our people in a democracy are going to have to stand up and take action to prevent it from going further. And so, you know, as an American, I want to apologize to Canada for the position that the president has taken, but I hope that we shall overcome.
Well, Ambassador, we appreciate the apology, but we know you're not behind all of this, so we accept it, but we do not hold you personally responsible. It's Ambassador Carla Hills, former U.S. Trade Representative and lead U.S. negotiator of the original NAFTA. It was good to meet you. Thank you for being here on such an important day.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to join you, and I can't imagine what George Herbert Walker Bush, who was so keenly interested in trade, how he would react today. I can tell you, he would be very upset.
Ambassador, thank you so much.
My pleasure.